Hi guys, and welcome back. So today is another Sketch Tuesday, and I think this is probably the first one of these that I've done so far that's actually sketching. So far I've done like small watercolor paintings, but they're finished. And the big thing that I wanted to get out of doing a Sketching Tuesday or dedicated sketch video every week is that I want to get better at doing good sketches. So I use my sketchbook a ton. I burn through them really fast and I go through the pages a ton, but I don't really have much to show for it at the end. I use my sketchbook in a very destructive way almost. I tear things out a lot, which I'm okay with. I'm definitely okay with tearing things out. I don't want my sketchbook to be something so precious that I'm afraid to touch it because I might ruin it. But I realized to the point that I'm just like tearing pages out just to like write notes or cut things up. And it was just kind of a lot of the stuff that was in there. If it was good, I was tearing it out and then using it as a final piece, but I didn't have a lot of like good sketches in there that were there for the purpose of getting better or exploring different ideas or different medias. So that's really what I want to achieve by doing a sketching dedicated video, is I want to be able to do good sketches for the sake of having a good sketch, not for it needing to be a final piece or anything like that. So that said, I was really excited about this and just getting into it. I've been feeling a lot better about my sketchbook since I started this at the beginning of the year. I have been dedicating time to put good sketches in here. And this one was definitely one that I felt good about. I've been trying to be a little bit slower with the way that I work. So for many, many years, pretty much through like middle school and high school, I was a very slow, methodical sketcher, to the point that I would not get very good concepts down because I wasn't going through it and getting those ideas out. I would do where I'd like very carefully finish up one eye and then very carefully finish up the other eye and then slowly work my way out from there. And that obviously had a lot of problems because I needed to be able to work faster to get ideas down. I needed to work looser so that I could get overall forms and shapes. And yeah, there was just a lot that I needed to learn. So when I kind of realized that that was my big holdup with sketching at that point, was that I wasn't working fast enough and I wasn't working loose enough. I really made a very strong effort to pull away from that. And I was actually pretty successful at that, but I feel like to this point I'm almost swung too far the other way, where I sketch so fast to the point that I'm not putting in like time or energy or thought into my sketches on how to make them better, how to focus on them. So yeah, this is me trying to like combine those two elements of the way that I have sketched into one more perfect concept where I can get things that are looser and more energetic, but I can also be more thoughtful about the details and the way that I'm executing it. So one of the ways that I really tried to get that concept into this particular sketch is that I started off much lighter handed with my pencil work than I normally do. A lot of times I will go in even with just the quick base, figuring out the forms kind of a sketch. I go in that too heavy-handed so that I can't always erase what I put down, so I can't fix it. So this one I tried to go in with a very delicate hand, and I was very soft with my touch with the brush, with the pencil I mean, and I was holding it in a way that I was holding it at the very end of a very long pencil, which was a huge improvement because I pretty much only have been working with like little stubs of pencils for the last forever because I burned through most of my long pencils. But that definitely helped, where I was trying to hold it at a longer angle so that way it was less of a pressure at the end. And every once in a while I would slip up and hold it right at the end, right where the lead was. But overall I tried a little bit to be more conscientious in the way that I was holding it so that I could get to the kind of pencil work that I wanted, a much softer look. And that, I think, made all the difference for me liking this sketch. It gave me time to really get the overall mood that I wanted for this and the ideas down, and I was really just thinking through each stroke that I was putting down, each pencil mark. And I think that's one of those things that where, since I'm working too fast most of the time, I'm not thinking through, why am I putting down this mark? A lot of times I'm just like putting it down. I'm putting a ton of them down, and a lot of them are wrong, and a lot of them are not even adding to the picture. So it is very important to think about why I'm putting down that mark and if it actually adds to the piece. And a lot of times so far it hasn't. So for this one, I was trying to be very thoughtful about each area that I was putting pencil work down. And I was thinking, is this supposed to be here, or am I just throwing down marks in a hope that it kind of looks finished and kind of looks done. So that was very helpful. And this piece ended up having a very like windy path from the beginning to the very end. And I liked that. I liked being able to use a lot of different tools to get the final product that I wanted and to experiment. And I feel like in a lot of my sketches, I tend to think very linearly, that it needs to have a beginning and an end. And a lot of times it doesn't really always work the way that I imagine it to. So I end up getting frustrated by them sometimes. And for this one, I tried to kind of let it go the way it wanted to. And I think that's the best thing about sketchbooks, is that I could really just take the path that it needed to. And what I mean exactly by that, because that's very abstract, is that when I first started this, I was doing the sketchwork in my col-erase pencil, and then I knew that I wanted to tighten up the line work, and I was thinking about just doing it with that col-erase pencil again and just making it sharper and darker, but I didn't really want to do that. I wanted something to be more contrasting with the sketch itself, something that could be darker and stand out a little bit more, so I could get a little bit higher level of refinement. So I was looking around at some of my pencils, and like I mentioned before, I've been really enjoying my very thin pencils, but they're kind of sparse. And the only dark red that I had like broken off, so there's only like this much left, and I don't know where the rest of the pencil is. So I didn't have a pencil that really fit the overall color palette that I wanted in the Verithin. So I went and I got this out of my the normal Prismacolor colored pencils. I'm not sure exactly if they have a name for it, but the soft ones, the ones that you use for coloring. So I got this magenta color out, and as you might expect, it's much softer and it's a lot harder to get it to a sharp point. So when I was using it for doing these line working type things, there was a lot of gaps in the paper since it has a slight tooth to it, and it just wasn't really as sharp as I wanted it, and it also wasn't as dark as I wanted either, so it wasn't really contrasting enough with that first base level sketch. So as I was working at that, I was thinking about some of my other options, what I could do to make it the way that I wanted it to. So I ended up incorporating a little bit of a more blue Verithin pencil, and it kind of bridged the gap between that magenta pencil and that red pencil, or the magenta pencil bridged that gap. But anyways, so I introduced that Verithin pencil, and then that also wasn't quite right. So I colored in the scarf with a Copic marker. And this is the part where usually when I start doing crazy things like that, this kind of process where I start coloring things in with markers, usually that's where it kind of goes wrong for me. So I was being very thoughtful about why I was putting it there and being very controlled and not going crazy and filling too much stuff too fast. So I added that, and then I ended up going in with these pens are really great. I really love them. I don't know how to say the name though. I think it's Stabilo. Not sure. But I usually reserve those for just writing notes and stuff, because I don't believe they're waterproof. I think I did a test once, but I was trying it out with this one, and I like that because I didn't want to go in with just black. That was my big reason why I didn't go right in with a multi-liner at the very beginning, is because I didn't really want it to be that stiff. I wanted this one to have a little bit more life and more color and a chance for me to be a little bit looser with it. But I did go in with one that matched that color palette, and I started refining things a little bit more there, and it was like one medium that built on top of the other and built on top of the other. So it wasn't really a path that I could have thought of at the beginning and thought, wow, I'm going to use all these colored pencils, and I'm going to use Copic markers, and I'm going to use this kind of pen, and it's going to turn into something that I like. I never would have thought that, but I was open to experimenting while still being very thoughtful about each step that I was doing, because that's kind of the two sides of how I sketch. Is either I go in and I'm too reserved and I don't really get the effect I want, or I throw too much down on it and then it ends up so out of control to the point that it's not what I wanted, and it doesn't look good. And yeah, so this was kind of a good balance between where I was really just being very thoughtful about each step and not holding myself back from using those steps and trying them out, but I also wasn't rushing into things that were too much for that piece yet. And that's it for today's Tuesday sketch video. I will be back on Thursday and then on Saturday after that. So definitely make sure to subscribe if you haven't yet, because I have lots of new videos 3 times a week. But yeah, that is it for today's sketch. I feel really good about this and about this sketchbook so far. It's just I'm definitely feeling like I'm getting a lot more in tune with the type of artwork that I want to do and with the type of finished work that I want to do. So it's definitely a lot more connected with the stuff that I find inspiring and the direction I want to take my art. So I feel really hopeful about this, and hopefully I'll be able to make this sketchbook really work for me as far as developing ideas and developing my skill. And hopefully when I'm done with this, it'll be something that I feel is good enough to show you guys and give you a little sketchbook tour of it. But yeah, like I said, that's it for today. So I will see you guys at my next video. Bye.